Welcome everybody to my little channel. This is Andy 79Z28. This is the Lee APP press with the new swage kit. The APP swage kit. It's a nice looking kit. It comes with a lot of things. It's several pieces. They give you two different size swaging rods. This is used for 3006, and there's a thin, larger brass, and then there's a small one for small calibers, 222, 223. Okay. Now they give you also, there's the actual swaging pin. They give you two of these. One is for large primer, one is for small primer. They also give you this die, which is something I wasn't aware of. This is a decapping die, which is nice that you get this in the kit because the price of the kit is inexpensive. It doesn't come with a bushing, however. You have to put your own bushing on it. But this decapping pin is beveled, so it opens the case mouth a little bit, just so the swage tool fits in it easier. Now I did run this already, so I'm just giving you the basics. So the first thing is what I'm doing here is I have a no-go gauge for the primer pocket. Okay, so that's a no-go. I did pull these out. That's another no-go. So those mean they're crimped. See, that's a good one. So that's not crimped. I'm just trying to show you the gauge. Okay, no-go. That's already been no crimp. That's no crimp. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this. You get the idea. Okay, that's how I determine if my pocket needs swaging or not. The no-go gauge. Now that one's tight, but it works, so that's a good. Okay, that's a good. This one this has a crimp on it. I don't know if you can see the crimp in there. Okay, so that's how I determine one if I need to get rid of the crimp. Now, they consider it a two-stage process, so you don't have to deprime your brass at first. Okay, separately you want to deprime it when you're going to use the swaging tool. So you have to set up the swaging tool. I've already set the measurements and the depths. Install that. Okay, then you take your shell holder adapter with the bottle adapter on it, and you put your shell holder in. I do not have the spring in here, which I'm going to play with later. This is the spring. Okay, I'm going to see if we can squeeze this down in a vise a little bit to lose some tension, because I really don't like it this loose. All right. Anyway, so I'm going to install this into the press. You see, line things up. Let me see if the camera's on where I need it to be. We're going to move the camera a little bit so I'm not standing in front of it. By the way, you can see I made a temporary handle out of some PVC. I'm going to make one in the machine shop, probably out of aluminum, when I get a chance. Okay, so we're going to set this right about there. Alright, so this brass, first thing you need to do is deprime it. So I'm going to put a few rounds in. We're not going to be doing this all day. Trying to keep the video short. I'm going to just put 10 rounds in. Well, I'll fill the tube up, whatever it is, 11 or 12 rounds, whatever fits in the tube. Okay. I still have issues sometimes with feeding, but it basically works. So we're in. We're actually decapping and expanding the case mouth. Just a little bit. The case mouth's only expanding a little bit, and this is for the purpose of having the pin here. This is what goes down in the case and pushes the case down into the thing. I'll show you more about that when we get there. Let's just get these, make sure that they're primed. Okay. And once you got them all in and they're primed, okay, you've got brass to work with. So I'm going to take these out, put them on the side. So you've deprimed your brass and ran it through here, which dulls the case, opens the case slightly. You haven't sized your brass yet at this point. So now you're going to remove the decapping die that they give you. Again, I can't believe, it's amazing they give you that. And by the way, the newly box, I don't know, man, it seems to hold everything with the bushings and the nuts on it. Okay, so now you're taking the bottle off as well and dropping the shell holder because it's just in there free floating. Now you take this gadget, this is for the bottom. You have to unscrew it, you have to take it apart. There's your sizing plunger, okay, with a spring and this gadget. So anyway, you have to take out the thing, get that up in there, put your shell holder in, put the spring in, put this cap on, and again, Lee with their O-rings, there's an O-ring on here. Tighten this sucker down good. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, I actually go probably a little overboard because tighten it tight. But it's with my hand. You put that piece in there. Now, this piece springs. I don't know if you can see me moving it. Okay, this piece springs down, and so when you put this together, what happens is it's going to push down, and the shell holder actually goes down, and the pin comes up. Okay, so we put that inside, and now they recommend when you put it in, it's actually got flats on it. They recommend that you put a wrench on it and just make sure it's tight. Not heavy tight, just tight. Now you take this system here is what's actually pushing the case down onto that pin. So now you have to adjust this. They go through a whole procedure. You must read the manual. I'm not going to go through the procedure of setup here. They tell you also make sure it's tight with a wrench. You have to adjust this pin so that when the vise comes down, okay, it's just touching the pin below. Okay, so anyway, you'll have to fine tune this because actually when the case goes in, that height changes, and you'll have to adjust that so when the case is in there, this is snug against the case with a certain amount of space in here. They give you a space, like a space in there, because you're going to actually push down hard to make it work. So let's put a couple in here. And I did run this before. I'm not a big fan of swaging. I have the RCBS swage tool. It's a little bit of a pain in the neck. You got to put a lot of pressure on it to make it work. Whoop, there's one went in upside down. We'll catch that when it comes out. Okay. So now I have this all adjusted already. I played with this. Make sure your shell holder is in alignment. Okay. Now when you come down, and now you can see I got spring motion here. You got to really push on this sucker. They're saying 25 pounds of force. There's an adjustment to make it. Okay. Now I find that the lineup is a little bit of a pain to get it into the top of the case. It doesn't always line up. And I find holding it a second or two is just to make sure it's actually doing the swage. And I'm leaning into this. I mean, I got bad shoulders, so I just see now the alignment just is off of here. It seems to be a common issue for me testing this before. So you can't just run this like you're decapping. It takes a little bit to make it work. Okay. That one went in, it lined up, and I'm going to show you again. I'm not a big fan of swaging because to me, and I could be wrong because I've never really tested it further, that when you swage, it moves the metal. and it really doesn't do what I would like it to do. Alright, so we went through those rounds. So now, let me come over here. Let's change this camera a little bit. I know we're going to get a little dizzy here. Okay, I think we're good here. And what I'm going to show you is I'm using a no-go go gauge. And you put it in, and it's really tight, but it goes in, so I'm going to call that one good. So it swaged it. This one, really tight, goes in as well. Call it good. This one goes in, good. So the swage seems to work, but now see there's a stubborn case. That ain't going in. I'm going to put that aside. Again, this one's not going in. You can see, I don't know if I can show, if the camera can pick this up. Let me get behind the camera so I can see if it's showing up. I don't know if you can see, it is putting a bevel on the edge, which is supposed to be all you need when you swage. But at the same time, I can't get a no-go gauge in. So to me, that's going to make the primer seat harder to go in. There's another one, I can't get the gauge in. Alright, that one goes in tight. So that one went in, it's tight. So basically the swage works, okay. I just don't like my primers to be forced in that tight. I don't know that I'm wrong in that thought. That one's tight but it goes in. And again, that one won't go in. But again, the one that just wouldn't go in, I'm going to try to get this on camera for you. You can see it put a nice bevel on it, okay, but in my opinion, that I still can't get the gauge in. So I'm not exactly happy with any swage tool. But for what it's worth, this is a nice little deal here. I mean, I think the kit's only $25. This die that they gave you with the tapered shank on it, it barely opens the mouth. And I tested it before. The standard full metal jacket sits a little easier on the case. It only opens up it a little bit. So this is worth the $25 by itself. I don't know. I will try this on 3006. I have better luck when I swage 3006 cases than I have done with 223. Now, this is something I've never shown people. Now this is all brass that I tested that the no-go gauge won't go in, and there's definitely a crimp on it. This is something that I made. Move this out of the way. I made this at my machine shop. Okay, and what this is I used I don't know all the correct terms because I'm not a machinist. A round nose, basically. Again, I'm not a machinist. Cutter, a round nose cutter. Okay, and I created these pockets. Okay, and so it's 2 halves. So I created these pockets, and what happens is I have a little vise. You'll see me use it in a minute. These fit in there, and there's just enough space so when you clamp down, these won't turn. Okay, so now I'm showing you how I do my deburring of the primer pockets. Okay, and let me I'm going to move this in here closer. I'm trying to give you guys the best I can give you on my video here. This is just a drill press, a little thing I got off a line. Okay, I think this might be good. Alright, let's see. Now I take this plate sitting here, I put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, second time, 7, 8, 9, and I just close the jaws down, give it a snug tight, and I start my drill press and I just go like this. You can see how fast I'm going, and I'm not really running a full crazy pace here. and this is the RCBS military crimp remover. All right, so that's how I do mine. All right, and here it is. Boom. All right, so that's, to me, and that's the go gauge. This is the no-go gauge. The no-go gauge won't go in, so the pocket's not too big, and this fits in nice. So, to me, I can do this faster and more to the way I like it. Okay, that one's a tight one. You get one occasionally. Okay, and there you go. So again, I'll run this one more time just so you can see it. I'm taking brass that I've already tested that I know has military crimps on it. Using the military crimp remover from RCBS in my drill press. And again, you're seeing it live. And the way this, you can't go too deep because it's made that way, that it can only go so deep. Boom, done. Okay, and I check them, always check them. And again, it never has to be done again. So I don't know. You have to. I can't tell you not to go for the new Lee thing. But personally, I'm not a swage person. I think this is a better way to do it. And my primers always go in nice and easy, and that's the end of it. So that's a quickie on the Lee APP press with the swage kit that they give you. And you know, what else can I say? I'm not going to lie about it. I think that the swage kit might work for some people. They don't mind their primers going in hard. I don't like my primer that I have to feel like I'm forcing it in. And again, they give you this nice, this bushing doesn't come with it. This is a lead decapping die. I've never seen it advertised before, and it actually, yeah, you can feel when you put it in by hand. It opens the case just a hair to allow the rod to go in. Okay, to allow the rod on this to go in. It allows that rod to go in a little easier. All right, and it does work if you want those primer pockets as tight as they are. Okay, but other than that, it's not going to be bang, bang, bang fast. You can see, right now the press has nothing in it, but when you put this part in and you try to do around, again they tell you to make sure this is tight, that it will loosen if it's not tight. When you put a round in here, okay, the lineup is not 100%. The case mouth is a pretty small opening to meet, so you got to tweak it and play with it a little bit. And the pressure, like they said, they want 25 psi is what you're supposed to exert on here. And I tried. I put hooked up my torque wrench to it and tried to see if I was 25 pounds. I'm about 26 or 27, and it definitely swaged it. It definitely put the edge on it. But like I said, I'm not happy that my no-go gauge, my go gauge doesn't go in. Okay, so swaging to me, I don't know, guys. It's your call what you want to do with this. I'm gonna go on a thumbs down at the moment for 223. I have an RCBS benchtop swaging tool that I use on my 3006, and it works fine. But using that on 223, I have the same issue, that it really doesn't open the case, the primer pocket enough. So that's about it. Short video, trying to make it sweet. Catch you later.